What up, YouTube? It's your boy VSAT back, bringing you guys another video. In today's video, we're gonna be doing another Fan Mail Friday. Thank you guys all for the awesome questions. Ton of questions over on vsat@mail.com. If you guys want to see this series continue to roll out, be sure to leave some awesome questions like you guys have been. We've actually been backed up on questions, so we'll see if we're only gonna answer one or maybe we'll try and answer two, whatever the case may be. But I do have some good questions that I also want to use for future episodes. So thank you guys for that. But in today's video, we're gonna be answering a question from my buddy Jay, aka my long lost cousin, my boy JSAT. My boy JSAT goes on and asks, any tips on how to move on? How do you move on from someone you can't stop thinking about? Someone but should, when you've lost all motivation and nothing seems to make you happy. When you feel tired, you feel weak, you want to give up, you want to be a quitter, and you want to just fall flat on your face and collapse. How do you learn to enjoy things again? Maybe it's not just the right person, but there doesn't seem to be anyone else. How do you know when someone is the right one for you, and how could you meet that person? P.S. I have more questions for future episodes. JSAT. Yo, Jay, first of all, love you, buddy. Great question. Common question as it pertains to relationships, as you can imagine. For me personally, always try to stay busy, right? I think that's the easiest thing you can do. Do what makes you happy. Do hobbies. Do whatever it is that you do about your daily routine that makes you feel like you, that makes you happy. You know, for me, it was always exercise. It was always gaming. It was always sports. You know, those things when I was playing basketball, you know, it's just playing ball, you know what I mean? Like nothing else was ever on my mind. It was just playing ball, you know what I mean? It was a great escape. I mean, I loved it, and it was fun to do, you know. Gaming's another big one, you know, maybe dive into a narrative driven game or a high round zombies, whatever it takes, where you're kind of not necessarily in this reality. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when there's stuff bothering you, you don't necessarily want to beat it, you know. You don't want to beat it like a dead horse, you know. You don't want to do that. You want to just kind of go somewhere else, let the mind ease, let the mind drift off to other places, kind of just not kind of do you, just kind of do something else, like, you know what I mean? So I would say, honestly, I don't know, I mean, I know, Jay, you're, you know, obviously a big gamer. I mean, maybe try and dive into a real narrative driven experience, something along those lines. I don't know if you play any sports. I think you like soccer, Jay, or football, as it is for you guys over there. Maybe play some sports. You know, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is that makes you happy, I would say do that, because I know what you mean, man. It happens to literally everyone, and you just gotta also remember that. I don't know if that's gonna help you at all. It's just that, just keep in mind, you know, like how many people have already been on this earth and have lived, and how many people have dealt and felt with the same thing you're feeling. You're not alone. You know what I mean? I mean, that might sound cliche and everything, but you're not alone. You know, other people dealt with this. You certainly can deal with this. You just got to find what works for you, Jay, because what works for me may not work for you. But for me personally, I mean, like I said, it was the exercise, it was the gaming, it was the sports. Maybe it's the TV shows, maybe it's Netflix, you know what I mean? Just whatever it is where you're not just sitting there late at night just thinking about it, because that's always my worst dilemma, is just bunch of thoughts going on at nighttime. It may not even be anything bad. Life is all groovy, and it still happens to me today. You know what I mean? Just many things going on in your mind. So I'd say just keep that mind as busy and almost as distracted as possible. To answer the second part of your question, Jay, you ask, maybe it's not the right person, but there doesn't seem to be anyone else. How do you know someone is the right person for you, and how could you meet that person? Well, to answer it very easily, how could you meet that person? You kind of, in my opinion, I don't know if you necessarily, for me at least, from my experience, I didn't find the person by looking for the person. I feel like those kind of things just pop up, you know what I mean? Like love, or just, you know, things like that, they kind of just come up. You don't necessarily search for them. It's weird, you know what I mean? I know you may, you know, there are people that really want to have that other person. For me, it was kind of like, you know, if it happens, it happens. You know, whenever it happens, I don't know. You know, we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But I know some people really kind of want that other person. You know what I mean? They kind of want that fairy tale of, like, you know, this whole Romeo Juliet type of thing, right? But I'd say is don't necessarily go out looking. You know what I mean? I think that's where you start kind of getting yourself in trouble, is because now you're looking for that person. You're wondering, oh, is that her? Maybe that's her. And now you're like giving her cop-outs that she's better than what she is. I'm not saying you that in your position, but I'm just saying, you know, Jay, you have value, my man. We all have value, you know what I mean? And just realize that, where, Jay, you don't deserve to feel this way, my dude. You know what I mean? Like, you deserve to feel great, you know, and you deserve to find someone that makes you feel great. So as it pertains to this, just realize that you have value. This person is clearly not the one for you, because they're making you feel like this, and you're questioning. I mean, my uncle told me something I'll never forget, man. When I was young, I was a young kid, and he said, if there's ever a question in your mind, ever, as it pertains to the lady, whether or not she should, like, she's the one, and is she doing right, then she's not the one, and she ain't doing right. You know what I mean? If you gotta question it, it's typically not a good sign to begin with. And that always stuck with me, and that's just kind of how I am. So I would say, honestly, as it pertains, you can't really go out looking for that person, at least from my experience. You know what I mean? I mean, if you do, I guess, look up similar activities. Maybe, you know, you're a gamer, maybe go to, like, a PAX event, you know, maybe you could find someone there. But I wouldn't say, really, don't have it like a hunt. You know what I mean? You're not hunting. It's not like hunting a goddamn deer out here. You know what I mean? You're not trying to slaughter a deer to bring home for dinner. You know what I mean? Just when the person comes, you'll know. That's the biggest thing. And I know you ask, how do you know someone is the right one for you? How do you know? It's just, I don't know how to explain how you know. You just kind of know. You know what I mean? They just, you kind of, like, right now, I feel like, Jay, you're in the position that I was maybe in, like, a couple years ago, where you're like, no, she might be the one. You know what I mean? And then you kind of build it up in your head as to why she's the one. And it's like, yeah, she's the one, you know, I can't see, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't work out, and then you're like, wow, like, what am I gonna do? And the next thing you know, you get RKO'd Randy Orton out of nowhere, Stone Cold Stunner, Rock Bottom, people elbow out of nowhere, man, and freaking, then the person comes along. And that person that comes along just makes you wonder how you even lived without that person, you know what I mean? You have no idea how, like, you went on not talking to this person, not knowing this person was a person, you know what I mean? It just, it's unbelievable, you know. I don't even know how to, you just know, right? You know what I mean? Like, how did like animals know how to survive and all that? They just know, you know what I mean? That's just kind of the same thing. Like, how do you know that person's the one? You just know. You really just know, man. You know, it's not something where it's like, you know, it's not like you write a list of things, to-do list, and she's got to check them all off. Oh, there you go. She got 7 out of 10. Yep, she passed that. Nah, it's not how it works. You know what I mean? You're kind of just with that person, and it's just everything about them, man. It's the way they look. It's the way they act. It's the way they're around you. It's the way they hug you. It's the way they walk. It's their scent. It's just everything. You know what I mean? And then that from there, that gravitates you, I think. So that'd be my answer for that, bud. Just to wrap this question up, Jay, like I said, man, you gotta realize, and you just gotta realize that a relationship is 50-50. You gotta put in 50, the other person's gotta put in 50. You know, if you're going through these extreme lengths, just realize that other person's not putting in their half, and your value is worth way more than what that person's allowing you to have, or how you're feeling, man. So if you're feeling this bad and that person's not there, that person doesn't necessarily care, that person's not the person, my man. So Jay, I'm sorry to hear that, man, and I hope all is well, but I hope that helps you, my dude. That is my answer for your question, Jay. And that will conclude today's episode of Fan Mail Friday. Jay, thank you for the great question. Thank you guys all for the great questions. Keep in mind, if you guys want to ask more questions, down below, VSAT, V5AT, at mail.com. If you guys did enjoy this episode, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. As always, leave a comment as to what you think, if you agree, if you disagree, what kind of experience you had in your relationship, what helps you, and let's kind of just, as a community, help each other as it pertains to these tough questions that I'm not only answering, but hopefully you guys are answering and have your own way to cope with things and whatnot. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.